I had never been nervous about going to the dentist. The routine cleanings and checkups had always been mundane, almost relaxing, until I met Dr. Larkin. It started off innocently enough. I needed a new dentist and his office was highly rated. I was impressed by the sleek modern decor when I walked in, and the receptionist was warm and welcoming. Dr. Larkin himself was friendly, even charming, with the air of confidence that put me at ease. He took his time with me during the initial consultation, explaining that he preferred to run a few more advanced tests than what other offices typically did. I figured it was just thorough care. I didn't mind. After all, my teeth had always been my pride. The first procedure was a deep routine cleaning. He explained he would take a detailed x-ray afterward to make sure everything was in order. But when I asked for a copy of the images, he said they would be kept in his files for further analysis. He seemed insistent that I didn't need to worry about it. The following visits were more of the same, a cleaning, a checkup, some small fillings, but each time I noticed something odd. My mouth always felt emptier after each appointment. It was subtle at first, an imperceptible gap between two teeth here, a space where there hadn't been one before. At first I thought maybe I was imagining things, or that it was just the side effects of the procedures. But after the third visit, I noticed a small tooth was completely gone. I mentioned it to Dr. Larkin during my next appointment, but he brushed it off with a smile, claiming it must have been due to natural wear on my teeth. He even offered me a new advanced treatment plan for tooth restoration. His eyes twinkled strangely when he spoke of it, and for the first time, I felt a ripple of unease. It wasn't until the fourth visit that things truly escalated. As I reclined in the chair, Dr. Larkin's demeanor shifted. He was quieter, more focused, and his hands moved with unnerving precision. I felt something sharp against my gum, and instinctively I tried to pull away. But his grip on my jaw was firm, his eyes locked onto mine, his voice smooth and cold. "You don't need to worry, just relax." I wanted to scream, but my mouth was full of his instruments. He pressed harder, causing sharp pain, but I couldn't make a sound. It was then I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. His assistant, who had always been there, was nowhere to be seen. I couldn't make sense of it, but there was a low buzzing noise, like machinery running in the background, and a cold draft around my neck. Suddenly, a sharp pain erupted from the back of my mouth. Something was being pulled. I tried to jerk back, but the chair locked into place.
What are you doing?
I gasped, but the words came out muffled. Dr. Larkin didn't answer. His hands were working with a disturbing precision, as if he were collecting something. I felt my body go rigid with panic. Then, a strange metallic taste filled my mouth, and I realized I couldn't feel one of my molars anymore. It was gone. Vanished. Dr. Larkin leaned in close, his breath cold against my ear. "You have such perfect teeth," he whispered. "So rare. I'm sure you won't mind if I keep them for research." Terror surged through me. The moment I felt my mouth was clear of tools, I wrenched myself from the chair. My heart pounded in my chest. My tongue ran over my gums, feeling the rawness where my teeth had once been. I stumbled out of the office, desperate to leave. The next day, I woke up with a horrible sensation in my mouth, a kind of empty, aching void where my teeth should have been. The bruising was gone, but I felt a strange weight in my jaw, like something was missing, more than just a tooth. I called Dr. Larkin's office, but there was no answer. I checked his website, and there was no trace of the office I had visited. It was as if it had been erased from existence. But then I found something online, a whisper of a dark rumor about a dentist who had been running illegal experiments on patients, harvesting teeth for scientific purposes. I read the chilling details. I realized I was just another victim in his twisted obsession. Sometimes when I look in the mirror, I swear I see something in my eyes, a glint of metal that wasn't there before, and I can't shake the feeling that Dr. Larkin isn't done with me yet. I just hope I'm not the next one he's waiting for. It started like any other routine dental appointment. I had been to Dr. Hemlock's office several times before. The clinic was tucked away on a quiet street in the city, hidden between an old bookstore and a pharmacy. The building itself looked like it hadn't been renovated in decades. dark wood paneling, creaky floors, and dim lighting. But the dentist had a reputation for being the best in the area, and I never had a problem with him before. That day, I arrived for my cleaning and checkup, the usual. The receptionist, a young woman with a tired smile, checked me in and directed me to the waiting area. It felt like any other dental office, sterile, quiet, the faint scent of bleach hanging in the air. But something felt off that day. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Maybe it was the flickering light above the door to the exam room, or the strange quiet that hung in the air. But my instincts were on edge. I told myself it was nothing. When Dr. Hemlock finally came in, his face was smooth and calm as ever. He was a tall man with slick black hair and glasses that always seemed to reflect the light just enough to make his eyes look dark and unreadable. He greeted me with his usual charm and led me to the chair. "How have you been, Mr. Turner?" he asked, his voice smooth and polite, but there was something in his tone that sent a small shiver down my spine. "Any discomfort in your teeth?" "Not really," I said, settling back into the chair. "Just the usual checkup." As he leaned over me, his gloved hands working with the dental tools, I felt a sudden wave of dizziness. It was subtle at first, just a momentarily blur, a feeling that I couldn't focus. I assumed it was just the nervousness of being at the dentist. But then everything changed. But before I could say anything, Dr. Hemlock injected something into my gum. It wasn't the usual numbing shot. This felt deeper, more intense. My head spun, and I felt a coldness spread down my neck. I blinked rapidly, trying to stay conscious, but the room around me began to fade. The next thing I remember is waking up. I was no longer in a familiar dental chair. I was laying on a cold, metal table in a small, dimly lit room. Panic surged through me as I tried to move, but my arms and legs felt heavy, as if they were shackled to the table. My mouth was dry, and the taste of something bitter lingered on my tongue. The door to the room creaked open, and Dr. Hemlock stepped inside, his face now devoid of the friendly mask he had always worn. His eyes were cold, calculating, and his smile twisted into something that felt more predator than comforting. "You're awake," he said with his voice eerily calm. I was starting to worry. What is this? I tried to speak, but my voice sounded muffled, distant. The drugs hadn't worn off completely. "This is where the real work begins," he said with a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. "You see, over the years, I've realized that most people don't understand the true potential of a healthy set of teeth. They're not just for chewing or smiling. They're a key to unlocking something much more fascinating." My heart hammered in my chest as I struggled against my restraints. My mind raced, trying to make sense of what he was saying. "What are you going to do to me?" I managed to gasp. "Oh, nothing painful," he said with a sickening smile. "At least not yet. I simply need to take a few samples." But before I could process his words, he turned and walked toward a table in the corner. There, under a harsh light, were rows upon rows of gleaming teeth. Human teeth, some yellowed, some freshly extracted. The sight made my stomach churn, but I couldn't look away. I was paralyzed with fear. "You see," Dr. Hemlock continued, picking up strange-looking tools from the table, "I've been experimenting with ways to enhance the human body using the very materials that people take for granted. Teeth, bones. They can be much more than just functional. They can be a key to evolution." I felt a wave of nausea wash over me as he turned back to face me, the tool in his hands now gleaming with a sickening light. He took a step closer. "I've been collecting them for years," he said softly. "But you? You're special. I've been watching you for a while. Mr. Turner, your teeth are perfect. Exactly what I need." "No," I whispered, terror rising in my throat. "Please, no." But he was already strapping a mask over my face, the edges of my vision blurring again. The last thing I saw before everything went black was his cold smile and the gleaming scalpel in his hand, ready to begin his gruesome work. When I woke up again, I was laying in my own bed at home. The sunlight streamed through the window and everything seemed normal. But as I sat up and ran my tongue across my teeth, I felt something odd. One of my molars was gone. And it wasn't just any molar. It was the one Dr. Hemlock had spent the most time inspecting during my last visit. A chill ran down my spine. I don't know how he let me go. Maybe it was a mistake, or maybe he was finished with me. But as I sat there feeling the empty space in my mouth, I realized something. Dr. Hemlock had been playing a long game, and I was just one of his many pieces. The next time I went to the dentist, I made sure to check the name on the door. It didn't say Dr. Hemlock anymore, but the new doctor's name? It looked familiar, and the door to his office was locked.